Why do some people only love you at your worst? Why does getting better feel like a betrayal to them? There's a name for what that is. It's called rescue love, and it happens in 4 stages. Part 1. The pull. The first stage of rescue love doesn't feel like a warning sign. It feels like a miracle. You were going through something, a breakup, a rough patch, a version of yourself you weren't proud of, and this person showed up, fully, completely, like they could see exactly what you needed before you even said it. They were patient when you were difficult, present when you were falling apart. They didn't run when things got heavy. They leaned in. And after years of people leaving when things got hard, someone staying felt like the realest thing you'd ever experienced. You stopped waiting for the catch. You let yourself believe it. Here's what you didn't know yet. For them, this wasn't just love. This was purpose. People who love through rescue aren't broken or evil. Most of them grew up in environments where love was conditional, where they had to earn safety, or where they only felt valuable when someone needed them. Somewhere along the way, their nervous system learned that being needed equals being loved, that their worth lives inside their usefulness. So when they found you, struggling, hurting, real, something lit up. Not because they wanted to exploit your pain, but because your pain gave them a place to belong. That's stage 1. 2 people finding each other, both getting something they didn't know they were looking for. It feels like a perfect fit, because in the beginning, it is. Part 2. The bond. Stage 2 is where the relationship deepens. And it's also where the architecture gets laid, the invisible structure that will eventually crack. During this stage, the dynamic becomes the relationship. You need, they provide. You struggle, they show up. There's an unspoken rhythm that both people fall into, and it's comfortable because it's working. You feel supported. They feel necessary. Nobody is asking any hard questions yet. This is also the stage where the identity lock happens. For the person doing the rescuing, you have become part of how they understand themselves. You are the person they show up for. Your growth is their project. Your pain is their purpose. And they're good at it. Maybe the best they've ever felt at anything. There's a quiet confidence that comes over people in this role. They know exactly what to say when you're falling apart. They know how to hold you. And that competence, that feeling of being the one who knows how to love you, becomes as addictive for them as the relationship itself. Think about what that means. Their sense of self is now tied to your struggle. When you call them crying, something in them settles. Not because they want you in pain, but because your pain is the signal that they matter, that they're needed, that they have a place in your life that no one else can fill. What nobody tells you is that in rescue love, the rescuer unconsciously needs you to stay exactly as broken as the day they found you. Not because they're cruel, because your healing is a threat to the only version of love they know how to give. It's not a choice they're making. It's a fear response wearing the costume of a relationship. And here's what makes stage 2 so disorienting in hindsight. It feels like the deepest love you've ever experienced. Because someone is finally choosing to stay. Someone is finally seeing your mess and not running. You interpret that as unconditional love. And in a way, it is. But the condition is just hidden. The condition is that you keep needing them. The bond feels real, because it is real, just not in the way you think. It's real the way a role is real, and both of you are playing yours perfectly. Before we get into stage 3, because this is where it gets really real, if this is already hitting home, take a second and subscribe. I put out videos every week on the patterns nobody names but everybody lives through. And hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this. Part 3. The shift. This is the stage that breaks people. Because it doesn't look like a breakup. It looks like nothing. Just a slow, strange cooling. You started getting better. Maybe you went to therapy, started setting limits on what you'd accept, stopped apologizing for things that weren't your fault, started making decisions from a place of clarity instead of fear. From the outside, it looked like growth. From the inside of this relationship, it registered as something else entirely: abandonment. Not consciously. The person who loves you through rescue doesn't sit down and think, "I want them to stay broken." But their nervous system, the one that learned love means being needed, starts sending signals. Something is wrong. The thing that made this relationship make sense is disappearing. So they pull back, or they get critical. They start noticing flaws they didn't mention before. They seem less interested, less warm, harder to reach. You try to talk about it and they say nothing's wrong. And you, still in the habit of doubting yourself, start wondering if your healing is the problem. It is, but not in the way you think. This is the moment the relationship reveals what it was built on. Because real love expands when you grow. It gets excited about who you're becoming. It doesn't go quiet when you get better. Rescue love does. Stage 3 is when everything falls apart. Not in a dramatic explosion, but in a silence that gets louder every day. And most people spend months in this stage trying to figure out what they did wrong. The answer is nothing. They healed. And the relationship wasn't designed to hold that. Part 4. The exit. Stage 4 is the end, but it rarely looks clean. Sometimes they leave, sometimes you do, once you finally understand what's been happening. Sometimes they go find someone else, someone new, someone who needs them, someone who gives them back the feeling of purpose they lost when you got better. And if you're watching from the outside, it's disorienting. They move fast, they seem fine, because they are, not because they didn't care about you, but because the feeling they were chasing is available again somewhere else. That part is its own kind of grief. Watching someone who said they loved you find their footing almost immediately in someone else's wreckage. It can make you feel like you were replaceable, like the love was never specific to you. And in the hardest way, that's partly true. They weren't in love with you as much as they were in love with the experience of saving you. And you're left holding a question that doesn't have a clean answer. Was any of it real? Here's the most honest thing I can tell you. It was real to them. The feeling of loving you, that was genuine. But what they were in love with wasn't entirely you. It was the version of you that needed them. It was the role. And when you stepped out of the role, the love didn't know where to go. That's not your fault. And it's not entirely theirs either. Rescue love is what happens when two wounded people find each other at exactly the right moment and mistake the fit for the foundation. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself as the one who was rescued, the one who got better and felt everything go cold, I want you to hear this. Your healing didn't break the relationship. Your healing revealed it. And a love that can't survive you getting better was never going to be able to hold the full version of you anyway. You didn't lose love. You outgrew the only version they knew how to give. And if you're watching this from the other side, if you're the one who has always been the rescuer, who feels most alive when someone needs you, who doesn't quite know what to do with a partner who's whole, that's worth sitting with, because you deserve to be loved for more than what you provide. And so does the person you're with. Rescue love feels like the real thing. It has all the same ingredients. But real love doesn't have a ceiling. It doesn't go quiet when you grow. It doesn't need you broken to know what to do with you. That's the difference. And now that you have the name for it, you'll recognize it. Maybe in your past, maybe in your present. Either way, you'll know what it is.